oneself in another's shoes. It's the ability to understand and accept others. Its ability for being nurturing and tolerant. Empathy encourages a positive behavior towards people in need of difficulty. So, how can we teach empathy to our students? Empathy is one of the most essential life skills, and as an ethical teacher, we need to have empathy. But we cannot teach empathy. Empathy is not to be taught. Empathy is to be seen, felt, experienced, and assimilated. It is seeing with the eyes of another. It's listening with the ears of another. It's feeling with the heart of another. In our classrooms, we can develop empathy through various subjects. Whatever be your subject, you can bring in examples of life to the classroom. Bring examples of life to the classroom and discuss them. During the pandemic, we have witnessed empathy. When many classes were carried out online, there were thousands of students who suffered. Many who did not have electricity connection, who did not have a good television and even a mobile phone. People who are empathetic towards them have donated all these facilities to many people. So sharing things with others. When during the floods, we have seen the empathy of people in Kerala. People were ready to help a lot. That is empathy. Sharing, understanding the pain. And as a teacher, we need to know the problems of our students. I remember one incident when during my class, there was a student. She was not regular. She was regular in her class, but she was not doing her work properly. She was mood off. So I had a counseling session with her and I asked her, "What's your problem?" And she has got recently married and was having severe marital issues in her life. And she is not even ready to disclose such details to her friends because she felt that she may be humiliated, insulted, or teased. So she was not having a person to express her problems. So what my job is not to be sympathetic with her. My job is to be empathetic with her, to support her, to give her time and space to finish her work, to give her extra support and care to ensure that she finish her work properly. So that in those ways, we can teach empathy to our students by being a good model, not teaching it literally. You might have heard of the story Last Leaf, a short story by the famous writer, short story writer O. Henry. This Burman who wanted to have a beautiful painting, a masterpiece painting, knew very well that if he is going out in the cold night, he is going to die. He'll catch pneumonia. But irrespective of knowing that fact, he was ready to save the life of that girl whose only hope was the last leaf. So that is true empathy. We can bring such examples to our classrooms. How? It's not that we are going to conduct a separate activity for empathy. It's not that we are going to conduct a separate activity for life skills. In our classroom scenario, we can conduct. What are the strategies? Through debates, discussions, which helps us in improving our communicative skills, patience, cooperation. We can watch videos of films. We can listen to stories or incidents, and we can share our opinions. How? Related to a subject. For example, if it's relating to a machine operation, take some incidents which is occurring in a movie. Take some incidents where a problem is encountered. Let them discuss it, or let them create a script based on it, so that the theoretical knowledge is applied as well as they are learning all these life skills without knowing that they are learning it. So it is as if we are getting two things. A writing script, dramatization. They learn, they decide and design characters, they practice dialogues. All the dialogues are based on the topic which we are teaching. Your communication skills, problem solving, critical thinking can be developed. Even recitations, reading newspapers, stories, reporting, and which helps us in improving our pronunciation, stress, rhythm, intonation, expressions, brainstorming activities, experiential learning, working in pairs, working in small groups, collaborative learning, where each and every person in the group is accountable. Work is divided. One person is doing a particular portion, maybe portion A, and the second person is doing portion B. And only if A, B, and C completes their work, the project is complete. It's not that one person do the work and others get a benefit of it. No. Collaborative learning where each and every person is accountable. So they learn the skill of being responsible, the skill of being accountable for their actions. They learn the skill of cooperation. And educational games and simulations can be introduced. We can assign tasks to students, critical thinking, comparison, refusal, the skill of refusal, the skill of saying no, decision making, problem solving. All these things can be cultivated in children by giving them various tasks to deal with, or problem solving scenarios. And arts and music, meditation, yoga are all excellent stress busters. And what we need to create and cultivate is an awareness and alertness on substance abuse, alcoholism, cigarettes, drugs, etc. An alertness on the difference between good touch and bad touch. How to say no, when to say no, and how to react when you are molested, humiliated, if teased or abused. How do we express our feelings or problems to our teachers or parents? How to develop courage to do all these things? As an ethical teacher, we need to teach our students all those things. And we need to be the pillar of support for students when they have a problem like that. Recently, I'm a person who used to watch lots of crime serials. So I've watched a crime serial recently where it was written. The story it's based on a true incident. A teacher who is working in a college, an engineering college. She is being. This is a story. I think it has happened in Maharashtra itself. The teacher is being abused, molested by or trying to be molested by a colleague. And when she complains to a higher authority, the higher authority is saying, you be with me so that he will not abuse you. She is not ready to succumb to the wishes of any of these persons, and she is getting memos after memos. For even if she is perfect to her core, she is getting memos, and finally she is committing suicide. That's a story. It's not a story. It's a real incident which has happened. And the college has got the funny part, I should say, the college has got a grievance redressal committee which every college is supposed to have, where women harassment is being addressed. And when she has, even after being complained to that, no action was taken, and action was taken against the teacher, lady teacher. These are situations which we face in our colleges, in our schools. So how, as a teacher, do we deal with it when it comes to us and when it comes to our students? This is an important skill. It's a part of our professional ethics. Where do you go? Every college, every school is supposed to have a committee where we go and address the issue. And if it doesn't work, where do we go? We have sources. Can we muster the courage to go to that end and help and save a child whose life is in your hands at that point of time? So that is very, very important. An ethical teacher needs to cultivate all these skills in herself as well as in her children. And the essential skills that we need to achieve: how do we network? How do we network means how do we ensure that we have our contacts ready? How do we do networking in internet when we need to have information? How do we get correct information from authentic sources? How do we prepare things? How do we get ourselves tech ready for the classes? And how do we avoid a burnout when we feel terribly exhausted? Normally we are, especially during the pandemic season, because we have to juggle with our home responsibilities as well as the online responsibilities. When you feel burnout, what do? Do you have good means to de-stress and relax? How do we bounce back? Or how do we fail with grace? That is very, very important. Louis Braille was just 3 years old when he lost his eyesight. He was keen to learn, but he was limited as there were only 14 raised print books, which were not enough to satisfy young Louis' craving for information. And the night writing was a code made up of 12 raised dots, but it was so complicated, Louis understood the code perfectly and he simplified it into a 6-dot system. And in just 3 years, he published the first ever Braille book. Now, every blind person has an opportunity to learn and read a lot. Coco Chanel, the girl, was born in 1883 in France. She was raised in orphanages and she worked for a brief spell as a singer. But by the time she was 30, she had already opened her first shop and she was soon carving out her own line of clothing after being commissioned to replicate a jersey dress she made on a cold day. Chanel brand, one of the most prestigious, expensive brands. We need to learn how to be a good partner or a teammate. It's partner or a teammate. How do we communicate and negotiate well? All of us remember the Drishyam movie, even the second part is a hit. Let's forget about the logic behind the movie, but the skill of negotiation, the skill of communication. Is it there? How the police officer is trying to hide the problem of her son and trying to put the blame on the other side. How negotiation is being happening. Maybe I'm not talking about the logic. How to protect oneself. The movie shows how to protect your family. But we are talking about how not to protect your family in that way. I recently have heard a Chinese version of the same movie where the hero is finally admitting the fact that he has committed the crime for this reason. And how to protect oneself. How do you protect yourself? How do you say no? And how do we react if we find unethical behavior in our system? How do we muster the courage to say no to our authorities, to our colleagues, to our students, when we find that things are not right? And the distinction between good touch and bad touch, which we need to teach our children right from a very small age. I've recently seen a video of a campaign by police for students. It's a poem, actually. A police officer is reciting a poem and a mother is telling the child about good and bad touch through that poem. I think many of you must have seen that video. It was circulated in WhatsApp. And during the pandemic, we have learned a lot of things. Our educational scenario has undergone a massive change during the pandemic. Technology has diversified our classrooms, and in accordance with the changing needs and demands, our educational system, especially we teachers, have undergone drastic changes. We have embraced technology, updated our knowledge, spent endless hours burning the midnight oil to ensure that we are the future generation teachers. And we have managed to carry on our classes along with the routine kitchen work, sweeping, mopping, cleaning, cooking, washing, and have mastered various culinary skills to serve the hungry tummies of our family members whose demands during the pandemic were soaring day by day, as we were the only solace, source, and support during the lockdown days. What did we do? We managed everything comfortably like a juggler. So we need to teach our children to be self-reliant. What do we need to teach them? The basic things, basic life skills which an individual need to have. Or sometimes a husband need to learn. Sometimes a wife need to learn without a servant. What are they? Cook a basic meal, using washing machine, changing a bulb, caring elders, loving elders. Have you seen the advertisement of a tea where the granddaughter makes tea for her grandfather? It's a beautiful advertisement. Then learning to swim, learning to ride a cycle, learning to ride a bike, doing basic grocery shopping. In the movie Vinod Yatra, the heroine is Meera Jasmine and the hero is Dileep. Meera Jasmine is asking Dileep, what is the price of coconut oil? We do use it on a regular basis, but how many of us know the price of it? Owing to the hiking petrol prices, the prices are kept soaring and soaring. Knowing the price of essential commodities help us to realize the value of it and use it judiciously and avoid wastage. Sometimes we fall for offers How can we resist it? How can we resist the temptation? Do we know the basic swing skills? If something is happening to your kurti, or if one button is lost, how do you mend it? And are we comfortable with the basic hygiene standards? Can we live with the pandemic? Teach our children the basic hygiene, the basic first aid which we need to do